Tropical Storm Erin is about to rapidly intensify into a powerful hurricane over the next couple days, getting dangerously close to the Caribbean as it does so. Will it be close enough to cause significant impacts to the islands this weekend? And where does it go after this? In this video, I'm about to show you the latest update on Tropical Storm Erin, the track, intensity, and potential impacts. But first, if you're new here, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe for more tropical weather updates. So here's a current look at Tropical Storm Erin on infrared satellite imagery. Convection is actually coming back to Tropical Storm Erin. Yesterday it was actually toned down because of a lot of dry air and stuff like that, but now convection is coming back to the center of Tropical Storm Erin, and it is about to start intensifying soon. Current winds are at 50 miles an hour, up from 45 miles an hour, and minimum pressure has gone down to 1001 millibars. It's still moving directly west pretty much, but in the next 12 hours, it's expected to kind of shift to the west-northwest. Winds are going to increase to 60 miles an hour overnight. It's going to start strengthening, and then winds are going to go up by tomorrow. We could have winds up to 65 miles an hour. Then when it becomes a hurricane, it's going to be on Thursday night, going into Friday. Some of the models are holding it off till Friday. Others are intensifying it by Thursday night. But then by Friday, we could see winds all the way up to 85 miles an hour, according to the National Hurricane Center. And then it could become a Category 2 hurricane going into Friday night. And then this is where it starts getting close to the Caribbean. We have winds up to 110 miles an hour as it's directly north of the Caribbean. On Saturday, Sunday, we have it as a Category 3 hurricane, winds of 115 miles an hour, and then winds could further increase to 120 miles an hour on day 5, going into Monday. And the cone does take it north of the Caribbean. Yesterday, the cone did actually reach Puerto Rico, the British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, and some of these islands in the far northern and northeastern Caribbean. But now the cone has shifted north a bit once again, so keeping it away from the Caribbean enough so that it's not gonna directly hit the Caribbean, but it'll be close enough to cause impacts. So here's the key messages for Tropical Storm Erin as of the latest advisory: locally heavy rainfall, high surf and rip currents, and tropical storm force winds. So now they are including the potential for wind impacts. Could occur in portions of the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico this weekend as the core of Erin passes north of these islands. Interest in these areas should continue to monitor the progress of Erin. If tropical storm force winds are expected within 48 hours, they're going to issue tropical storm watches. Tropical storm force winds expected in 36 hours, then they will issue tropical storm warnings. So just keep an eye out for that if you are in the northeastern Caribbean. And then after that, while there is still uncertainty in what impacts might occur in portions of the Bahamas, the east coast of the United States, and Bermuda next week, the risk of dangerous surf and rip currents across the western Atlantic basin next week is increasing. As we approach the climatological peak of the hurricane season, this is an opportune time to ensure your preparedness plans are in place. Because yeah, as I talked about in a previous video, it is going to be producing a lot of high waves and rip currents. That's going to be a big thing, even if it stays several hundred miles offshore of any land areas. So here's the track guidance. It is expected to stay north of the Caribbean, but close enough to cause impacts. In the next 72 hours, it's going to be passing just north of some of these islands in the northeastern Caribbean. Then after that, it looks like it turns. So it looks like it's going to make a turn to the north, and then it could either go a little bit further west or kind of turn a little bit further east. A lot of the guidance is putting it between the coast of North Carolina and Bermuda. A lot of it closer to Bermuda, but still kind of out in the open Atlantic. We'll have to see what happens at this point. This is still around 6 to 7 days out on the guidance, so it can still change, but the guidance does start to fan out at this point. So there is a little more uncertainty in the track, and I'll show that with some of the forecast models where it could end up going. Here's the intensity guidance. Now, a lot of the guidance is bringing this up to hurricane intensity very quickly within 24 to 48 hours. Now, this could be a little bit aggressive based on what we've seen. This is not intensified as much as previously forecasted because of a lot of that dry air. The dry air has been a problem, and also the sea surface temperatures have not been very favorable for quick intensification. Only around 80 degrees, barely 80 to 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Then it does become a Category 2. It could strengthen to a Cat 2, and then even becoming a major hurricane within 72 hours, perhaps, according to the guidance. Now, it could be a little slower than that. We'll see. But once it does start strengthening, it could really take off very quickly, since the environment is mostly favorable for intensification as we go forward. Where it's been going, sea surface temperatures have only been about 26 degrees Celsius. That's only 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So where it is right now, it's going to start heading into progressively increasing sea surface temperatures as it goes out. We have it going all the way up to 28 degrees Celsius, and then when most of the strengthening is going to be occurring, sea surface temperatures will be up to 28 to even 30 degrees Celsius in the southwestern Atlantic. So that's going to be the thing to watch as conditions are getting more favorable. And also another thing was all that dry air. It was running straight into that dry air, which has actually stopped a lot of tropical waves from developing so far this season. This one has survived, obviously, and been able to maintain its intensity even through all that dry air. Then notice what happens over the next couple days. That dry air kind of fades out, and we get some more moisture spinning around this hurricane, and it really starts to intensify and expand over the next several days. Here's an example of how quickly it could strengthen. Here's the HAFS-A model, the latest run on Tropical Tidbits. We have current winds are going to be around 45 to 50 miles an hour going into tonight. And that's what we're seeing. And then it doesn't really intensify that much until we get to basically tomorrow afternoon. Thursday afternoon, we start seeing it intensify pretty quickly, going all the way up to a major hurricane within 45 hours, according to this. Friday late morning, kind of early afternoon, we're seeing a major hurricane. And this could go all the way up to a high-end Category 3 before it kind of levels off, but maintains major hurricane intensity for a while until going into Saturday. It looks like it kind of weakens down, but it starts expanding. That's indicating an eye wall replacement cycle that can actually expand the storm system. The winds temporarily drop, but then you get a much bigger system after that, and then it can intensify further. And that's exactly what happens on the HAFS-A model. But this is avoiding the Caribbean. You can see that it is staying to the north of the Caribbean, and tropical storm force winds are not quite reaching the islands at all, but it is intensifying pretty quickly at this point, all the way up to a Category 4 within the next 4 or 5 days. Going into later on Sunday, we could be looking at a very powerful hurricane that's not directly impacting land areas, but the indirect impacts with at least outer bands, and of course the really high waves are going to be a problem. Now the wind shear is going to be light, so that's going to allow this to intensify significantly. But as we get into the weekend, it looks like the upper level high pressure system over Hurricane Erin at this point will be kind of to the west. So Erin's going to be to the east of that. And so we could see a sort of lopsided outflow pattern, not destructive shear to the point that this is not going to intensify at all necessarily. Like, it could level off temporarily, but it does look like the anticyclone, the upper level high pressure, kind of reforms around it, but we still have an upper level high pressure system off to the west in the southwest of the storm system. So it could be a little bit lopsided, but the outflow will be pretty strong according to the H-Wharf parent model depicting this upper level wind flow pattern. So we're going to see it could be an asymmetrical hurricane at some point, but still a very powerful hurricane. Now, where's it going after this? It's going to intensify into a very powerful hurricane. It's going north of the Caribbean, but then what happens after that? That's the big thing. People are wondering, is it going to hit North Carolina? Is it going to hit the East Coast? Is it going to stay out to sea, maybe hit Bermuda or something? Well, we still don't know exactly where it's going to necessarily go, but the ensembles do show high confidence. We do have high confidence of where it's going in the next few days, that it is going north of the Caribbean. Like, there's a very low chance that the center actually hits the northeastern Caribbean. But then we do have a low probability that it kind of goes past the Bahamas and then even touches the outer banks of North Carolina. Now, it looks like it's going to go in this general direction. There's sort of low to moderate confidence on it going kind of out just west of Bermuda, basically. So Bermuda is going to get the eastern side of the storm. That's probably going to be the stronger side. But, you know, it looks like it's not even going to necessarily make a direct hit on Bermuda. So it looks like it's staying out to sea. But this, you know, that's where most of the ensembles are showing. But there are still some that do bring it towards the east coast of the U.S. There are ensembles, especially the ones that make this travel slower. So the faster ones are actually curving out to sea more. The slower ensembles are actually pulling it further west. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, keep an eye on how fast the storm is going, and kind of what the atmospheric features like the trough and the ridge pattern over parts of the Atlantic and the U.S., what those are doing at the time to kind of see where this storm system is going to get pulled. But we do have the latest run of the GFS. We're seeing that this does intensify significantly into a major hurricane, and it pulls north of the Caribbean. So this is Saturday and Sunday going to be seeing those outer bands. So there's going to be gusty winds and heavy rain across parts of the northeastern Caribbean. Not the main core of Hurricane Erin hitting or anything like that, but the outer bands definitely going to be causing impacts. Definitely those high waves are going to be a problem. But then the GFS model takes it close to Bermuda, but away from North Carolina. So not even the outer bands really hitting North Carolina at all, even though it's a fairly large hurricane. And then it becomes more of an extratropical system and gets lifted out to sea, not even hitting Nova Scotia or Newfoundland, Labrador. But it does become a very powerful extratropical cyclone, minimum pressure down to 936 millibars. That's a powerful extratropical system. Now, the Euro AI model is actually taking it a little closer to North Carolina. So this could be a problem. So, you know, just make sure you're keeping an eye on this situation. The AI Euro model taking it on Saturday, kind of Friday night going into Saturday, it's actually staying weak as a tropical storm. Now, I think the Euro AI model is definitely underestimating the intensity on this, but we're looking at the track in this case, not so much the intensity. So we do have a tropical system here, and we have heavy rainfall, kind of those outer bands impacting the northeastern Caribbean. And then notice what happens, which it's these Euro ensembles that are kind of taking it further west, potentially impacting North Carolina. But here's what the Euro AI model does. It does make it a very powerful hurricane, 949 millibars. But then notice it does kind of get uncomfortably close to North Carolina, and then it kind of lifts out towards the northeast. And here's what happens. It kind of goes along the east coast of the U.S., so it kind of scrapes the east coast, not necessarily a direct strike, but riding the coast. And then we do have another tropical wave behind Erin that could actually turn into something according to this model. We see another tropical storm also moving along the east coast again. So the same kind of scenario, and then potentially another tropical wave right here. So definitely something to keep an eye on. But even if Hurricane Erin doesn't hit the U.S., stays even further away from the Caribbean, we're going to be seeing a lot of high waves. That's going to be an impact. That's going to be causing impacts no matter what. With a hurricane like this, we have, as you can see, this is going into the weekend. The northeastern Caribbean is going to be seeing waves around 10 feet or higher. This is the significant wave height. Individual waves can be higher than this. And of course, there's going to be a lot of rip currents as well. And so we have significant wave height of around 10 feet going across the northeastern Caribbean this weekend. And then as we go through next week, the waves are going to be building along the east coast. Waves over 10 feet, potentially even 15 feet off the North Carolina coast in some places. And then swinging past the northeastern U.S., we could see some of those very high waves over 15 feet. And then even Atlantic Canada seeing some of those high waves of 10 to 15 feet going into late next week, around August 22nd or so. And then as this turns into a big extra tropical cyclone, we can have those waves spread out over an even larger distance, going across the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean, going into August, 23rd into the 25th. So that's going to be something interesting to see. And then we do have potentially another tropical system starting to try to form towards the end of August. And the Climate Prediction Center is watching the Caribbean and the main development region again for week 2, August 20th to 26th. So we have another area to watch with a 20 to 40% chance of tropical cyclone formation, and even an area of over 40% for the main development region just west of Cape Verde. And then even the Eastern Pacific has some potential, but also week 3, August 27th to September 2nd, we have the main development region and the Caribbean highlighted again for a 20 to 40% chance of tropical potential. And also we're going to have to watch the MJO over the next couple weeks as well. That can influence tropical formation potential. We had over the past couple days, it's been favorable over the eastern part of the Atlantic. And then it looks like over the next few days, it's actually going to be unfavorable. So not really looking at any new tropical development forming besides Erin. And then as we go towards that August 20th timeframe, it looks like it's neutral to slightly favorable. But then it really starts to get very unfavorable going past August 22nd. The Atlantic starts looking extremely unfavorable. But then we do have the more favorable conditions over Indonesia, and then it looks like that's starting to move eastward, possibly into the Eastern Pacific, and then eventually back into the Atlantic, possibly by the middle of September. We'll have to see. That's pretty much what's going on with the tropics. We have Tropical Storm Erin getting ready to intensify. It's going to move north of the Caribbean, potential impacts there. And then after that, we're going to have to see where it goes. It's not necessarily looking like it's super likely to hit the east coast of the U.S. yet, but people should definitely be keeping an eye on that as the forecast changes as we go forward. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already, share the video, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for more weather updates on the tropics. Thanks for watching. Extreme Weather Zone, out.